didn't accept the credit. Oberlin, we had a couple of boys go to Oberlin into engineering. They want you to take their calculus. It worked, it still transferred in. So this is again for seniors, juniors going into the senior classes next year. But this year, in an attempt to get some more college credits, when my daughter graduated in 15, she came out with about 30 to 35 credits, somewhere in there, and a lot of them in that class were able to get that many credits. And so a lot of them went in as sophomores, saved them a year of college. With some of the changes in what the state is requiring now, we can't offer as many credits. So in an attempt to try and get some more credits for these kids, Findlay is now offering the college algebra that Sarah was referring to, and it aligns very well with our first semester of pre-calculus, or first semester of advanced math. So I'm going to try and we are going to teach that next year. So anybody that's signing up for advanced math their junior year, they can take the first semester as a college algebra course. They'll get 4 semester hours for that. They can turn around and get 4 semester hours for calculus the next year, and they're already 8 hours ahead, basically, for free. But it aligns very well with our with what we're teaching now. I've just got to make a couple changes between what we're doing in advanced math and what we're doing in algebra 2, and it aligns very well. As she said, I've also talked with Findlay, trying to see if we can take the second semester, which is a whole course in trigonometry, and trying to get college credit for that. But that's still up in the air. They haven't decided yet. But, if you do have any questions, have your students ask me or Mrs. Holmeyer, or your children ask me, and then we can clarify some things. We're hoping to we're glad to be able to give that opportunity to get some more college credit for these kids.
Do you mind if I jump in? This is kind of me. Hi.
Okay, fine.
Hello, I'm Sean, University of Findlay, so he's talking about my classes. Definitely we have those 2 classes. For us, I know they're going to talk about requirements. Those are very close to the state requirements. So you do have to have at least a 2.5 GPA, or a 20 on the ACT, or I believe it's a 250 on the active place of reading. I always forget that one. 250 active place of reading. I also know that Rebecca, our College Credit Plus person, is going to be here. I got a date on that too, April the 8th, in order to offer you guys a test. We also have a placement test in the calculus class especially, so you'd have to take that in order to place into our calculus class, all right? We're talking about potentially using ACT for that too, but that's not set in stone, so please don't hold me to that, but we're talking about trying to get some other options to make sure you can get into that class. I'm going to be around. I have this piece out there, so make sure you grab it. If you have questions, it also has Rebecca Hillman's contact information in it. And Rebecca Hillman, of course, is our College Credit Plus person. So ask me questions when we get done. Thank you.
Rebecca's the one I work through to keep things aligned and in line.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah,
so
good job.
She's great. Absolutely. Sorry, I just jumped.
No, that's perfect.
It seemed like my time. So.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so I am going to turn this over, and Kayla is going to talk to you again about College Credit Plus, what that is as a whole, and then a little bit about how that works with Northwest. I will also talk about what I've seen over the last 7 years at Waitrace and the college classes and kind of how that works here. So we'll start with you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, as Mrs. Brand said, my name is Kayla Walker. I'm an admissions recruiter at Northwest State. So I work with recruiting the students a lot, but your advisor, her name is Nicole Gearshoots, or I'm sorry, Ann Feather.
Ann, yeah.
Yep, you guys work with Ann Feather. She's the CCP advisor. So if you have more specific questions, I can give you guys her contact info. She'd be more than happy to reach out to you. So what is College Credit Plus? It is Ohio's dual credit program for students in grades 7 through 12. So you can start as early as 7th grade and take college classes all the way up to the time you are a senior in high school. So you earn both high school credit and college credits at the same time. We like to tell students that this is not a trial college course, this is real college. It goes on your college transcript and it stays there forever. So that's just something to be aware of, but it will go both on your high school and college transcript. So students will enroll in college courses and adhere to the requirements of the college. So whether that be getting accepted or meeting the placement scores, so your test scores to place into classes, that's all kind of up to the college. So students must complete an assessment exam to be determined eligible for College Credit Plus. I know at Northwest State we use ACT scores, or you can do the AccuPlacer assessment. So that's kind of like the ACT, tests you in reading, writing, and math, but there's no time limit. So sometimes students do a little better on the AccuPlacer, they feel less pressure on it. So we can use either one of those scores. Students may apply to any public college or participating private colleges. You may apply to multiple institutions. So let's say you want to do that Finley class here at Wayne Trace. You're still more than welcome to take a class at Northwest State at the same time. You would just apply to both colleges, follow both colleges' admissions requirements, and work through it that way. And you must be an Ohio resident to be eligible. So students may choose from a variety of courses as determined by your placement testing scores. So your first 15 credit hours, you have to take what's called Level 1 courses. And every college has those listed on their website. So you can go ahead, look all of those up. It's a huge long list. And then once you complete 15 credit hours, you can go ahead and take Level 2 credit or courses. So you can earn credit to satisfy both high school and college requirements. So kind of how that works, 1 3-credit hour class at the college will equal 1 high school class. So let's use comp for example. If you take that at Northwest State, that's 3 credit hours. That will count as a full year of English here at Wayne Trace. And then you must successfully complete the courses in order to earn credit for that course. So no cost to CCP students, unless you be aware if you do fail the course, you will potentially be charged by Wayne Trace for the course. So no cost compared to the $172.33 per credit hour that students pay for Northwest State. So that's a pretty good deal. All courses are taught by qualified college instructors, whether you take a course at the college, whether you take a course online, whether you take the math class here at Wayne Trace. Your math teacher is considered a qualified college instructor. He went through all the qualifications for that. And then College Credit Plus students have access to everything at Northwest State that all regular Northwest State students have access to. Whether that's the Success Center, which has all of our tutoring services, they have access to the Fitness Center, they have access to career services if they need help writing a resume or finding jobs, anything like that. They're treated exactly like any other Northwest State student. So how that kind of works is your professors at Northwest State, they won't know that you're a high school student unless you tell them. There's no indication on their class roster that this is a normal student, this is a CCP student. It's all listed the same, so they're going to treat you the same. They're going to treat you as an adult. But on the flip side, you get access to everything that any other student would get access to. So as far as student-athlete requirements, if you participate in sports here at Wayne Trace, just make sure you're talking with Mrs. Franz and your athletic director, making sure that you're enrolled in enough classes and you're meeting all of those requirements. So classes can be taken at Northwest State or whatever school you choose to go to. They can be taken online or at the high school like we talked about before. So 3 different options for you guys to choose from. Classes are transferable to most in-state institutions. So Northwest State, for example, we have what's called TAG classes, TAG approved classes, Transfer Assurance Guide. So they're guaranteed to transfer to Ohio public institutions. So that's very handy. A lot of our students, we have some that continue at Northwest State, a lot of them transfer on to another school. Whatever is best for you, your credit should transfer very nicely. The best way to figure out if your credits are going to transfer is to just contact the school that you want to go to and just ask them. So after graduation, like I said, you can choose to continue at Northwest State and complete an associate's degree or transfer to another university. So what is the difference between high school and college? So in high school, you have a very structured environment. You go to school at 8 a.m., you end about 3 o'clock. You follow your schedule every day. It's the same. You go every day, just the same. In college, you manage your own time a little more. You could have 1 class on Tuesdays that only lasts like an hour and a half, and the rest of the time is, I guess, free time. It's just really up to the student, though, to be responsible and spend that time wisely, whether it be studying or going to the library or getting tutoring if needed. That's really up to the student to manage their own time. So in high school, parents and teachers are very involved. So maybe your child's struggling in their English class. You, as a parent, have the opportunity to call their teacher and say, hey, what can I do to help my student? What is their grade? Things like that. At college, that is not the case. So students are protected by what's called FERPA, which means that only the student can have access to their personal records. So that means whether the admissions process or even your students' grades, a parent can't call a professor and ask how their student's doing in the class. They'll just say, sorry, I can't talk to you about that. So it's up to the student to go to the professor if they need help, and they'd be more than happy to help you guys out. It's just really the responsibility of the student. So in high school, a lot of time homework counts for a grade. Maybe you do poorly on a test and you're able to boost your grade still with a lot of homework grades. Sometimes in college, you only maybe have 2 grades for the whole test and their exams. So you really got to focus on those tests and make sure that you're studying for them and you're prepared for them. In high school, you have minimal outside work. Yes, you still do have homework in high school, I understand that. But in college, it's significantly more. So maybe your professor will have you read a chapter or 2 before the next class, whereas in high school you would read that chapter in class together. So that's just a big difference. And then in college, we like to just throw it out there that content may be of a mature level. Like we said before, you're treated as adults. So other considerations. You're responsible for getting to and from campus if you decide to take a class on campus. If it's online, then throw that out of there. But you are responsible for getting to and from campus. How might this program affect your GPA and class rank? So remember, whatever grades you get at the college, you also get for high school. So it can affect both GPA and class rank, and then in turn it could affect scholarships if you do poorly, but if you do good, it could boost your GPA. So just both sides there. Even in inclement weather occurs, you're still expected to go to class. So college, you don't get snow days or fog days, anything like that. So again, your professor won't know if you are a high school student. So if Wayne Trace cancels, you're still going to be expected to be at your class, whether it's face-to-face or online if you need to check in for something. So another consideration, students must complete end-of-course exams for English, science, and math to satisfy high school graduation requirements. So if you take, we'll use comp for example again, if you take a comp class and you're not taking English here at Wayne Trace, but there's still a high school graduation exam, you're still going to be responsible to take that, even though you're not taking English here at Wayne Trace. Students cannot take remedial or religious courses. These are not included in that level 1 course list. And then are there consequences for underperforming students? Yes, like we talked about, you would have to pay Wayne Trace back for the class, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So what kind of learner are you? Again, several options for College Credit Plus, on campus, online, hybrid, which is kind of the best of both worlds. You have some face-to-face, you have some on campus or online. And then again at the high school, that would be those math classes through Finley. Okay, so what kind of courses can a student take? Again, CCP courses can satisfy your high school graduation requirements. So you'll really work with Mrs. Franz on that. She'll help you understand if this course is going to meet that requirement, all that good stuff. And then just be aware that some high schools have more requirements for graduation than the state minimum. So again, Mrs. Franz will know how to work with you on all that stuff. Who is eligible? So again, must be an Ohio resident in grades 7 through 12. Students must meet the prereq and co-req requirements before they can take the course. So, for example, if you want to take Comp 2, you have to take Comp 1 first. If a student's scores are not college level on those assessment exams, so whether ACT or AccuPlacer, there can be other ways to get you guys into the class. It's a little bit harder, so you have to have a high school GPA of 3.0, and then you'll have to get a letter of recommendation written by either Mrs. Franz or your principal. So you would have to work with her through that whole process. But colleges do have the final decision on admissions. So if you don't get admitted to a college for some reason, then there's nothing that really your high school can do. It's really up to the college at that point. So like we talked about before, students must complete their first 15 credits at level 1 courses. So just some of those include transferable courses, courses in IT, computer science, A&P, foreign language, courses that are part of a technical certificate, courses that are part of a 15 or 30 credit pathway, courses in a study skill, academic, or career services. So we do have some like career exploration classes or some just college readiness classes. Those are eligible. And then again, once you beat those first 15 credit hours, you can move on to level 2 courses. So non-allowable courses include private applied courses with one-on-one instruction. So for example, if a college has a music class where it's like piano lessons or something where it's just you and the instructor, those aren't allowed. Courses with high fees, study abroad courses, physical education courses, and then courses that are graded pass-fail. And then like we talked about, remedial or religious courses. Okay, academic requirements. So to participate in College Credit Plus, students must test college ready, again, AccuPlacer or ACT. See checklist for qualifying scores. So I have these folders up here. They have all the scores in there. They have a checklist that you'll go through, but all of your qualifying scores, whether ACT or AccuPlacer, are listed. CCP course grades will be factored into the high school and college GPA. Again, just a reminder, just really want to stress that. So underperforming students, hopefully no one gets here, but we'll go over it just in case. So if a student fails or withdraws often, you could have the potential to affect future financial aid. Not very often, but it is just a warning that we have to throw out. If students perform poorly, they'll be placed on CCP probation, CCP dismissal, or academic probation or dismissal by the college. A student would be placed on probation if he or she earns less than a 2.0 GPA in CCP courses or withdraws in 2 or more courses in 1 academic term. And that withdrawing from a course, that would be after the drop date. So you get like 14 days that you can withdraw from a course and nothing bad happens. But if it's after that date, that's when it will go into effect for you. So while you're on CCP probation, you can only enroll in 1 College Credit Plus class, and it must be in a different subject than what you earned that D or F in. So you can't enroll in the same subject. CCP dismissal. So if you're on CCP probation and don't raise that GPA above a 2.0, you will be put on dismissal, and that means you cannot enroll in any more CCP courses. And then at the end of your dismissal term, you can appeal. Like I said, hopefully no one gets here, but just going over it just in case. So application process. Your first step will be to fill out your intent to participate form. So this form, I would suggest that everyone here fills it out tonight. If you fill it out and turn it in, nothing is set in stone. All that it means is that you are eligible to take classes for CCP. So if you go, you fill it out, and then you decide not to take anything, no big deal, nothing hurt at all.
And that's the pink form.
The pink form.
It's the pink like out here on.
Yep, so the deadline to fill this out is April 1st, but I highly suggest filling it out and getting it turned in as soon as possible, just so you don't close that door on CCP. So your next step is to complete your CCP application. So at Northwest State, ours is online. Takes less than 10 minutes to fill out, and it's free. So if you want to do it in-house, you would fill out Finley's. Next, you will complete the consent form. Ours are located in this Northwest State folder. And you will submit a high school transcript, so you will ask Mrs. Franz to send it to your school. And then next, you will submit your AccuPlacer or your ACT scores, or you take the AccuPlacer. So Yeah, lots of deadlines there. Those are also located in the folder for you to follow, whether you want to do summer or fall or whenever you would like to start classes. So summer term. No, students are eligible to take courses in the summer. Summer classes are either 8 weeks or 12 weeks compared to that 16 weeks that they normally run. So a little bit faster pace. The 8-week term goes from June 8th to July 31st at Northwest State. The 12-week term goes May 18th to August 7th. And then the schedule for those summer classes will open, you will be able to view it on March 9th. And registration begins March 16th. So Ann Feather is the one that will help you out with all of that. So step-by-step review. So first, complete that pink form, the intent to participate, and then submit your application to whatever college you choose to go to, and fill out the consent form. Next, you'll submit a high school transcript, schedule your testing, so whether you want to take the ACT or AccuPlacer, up to you. At Northwest State, you will then complete an online advising workshop. You can do this at home, or you can come in the office, we'll help you out with it. And then another assessment is the OLR. This is only if you need to do online classes. Next, you will meet with your school counselor to schedule your classes, and then you will meet with Ann Feather, your CCP advisor at Northwest State. She will help you schedule your classes. So if you have any additional questions, the Ohio Department of Education's website is a really, really great resource. If you go to the CCP tab, of course you can reach out to Mrs. Franz or Ann Feather as well if you have questions. But does anyone have questions now that I can help you guys out with?
And we'll open that up again, questions here in a little bit.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. Did you have anything?
The summer classes, there's no charge for those.
Correct.
Correct.
Did you have any more?
Nope.
Okay.
That was it.
We also have a representative here tonight from UNOH, so I will turn the floor over to you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shauna. I'm from the University of Northwestern Ohio. We're located in Lima, Ohio. I just want to give you guys a little bit of information about our university. The application process is pretty much just like she explained for Northwest State. It's just for our university. We have 2 colleges under one umbrella. We have the College of Business, Occupational Health Professions. That is our accounting, marketing, management, IT courses, health information technology, medical assisting, those courses. Those are some of our big programs. Then we have the College of Applied Technologies. That would be our automotive, diesel, high performance, and our newest one is robotics, which is people are very interested in it, and it's booming. We've already had to triple our building, and they're looking at making it bigger again. Very high demanding field. Employers are looking for that. This is the information on our College Credit Plus. My contact information is located here at the bottom. You can email me or give me a phone call anytime. We are on a quarter, so we're a little bit different than a lot of the universities. So our summer quarter starts July 6th, I believe, and goes through the end of August. And then our fall quarter starts mid-September and goes to Thanksgiving. The only difference is if you're going to take a spring quarter with us, it goes past graduation. So we always have to work with Ms. Franz on that and get that figured out. It's not a problem. It's a little bit of scheduling. It's its own little beast. So it's a game that we play. If you guys are interested in coming to the university, we can do all of our classes online or on campus. You never have to come to our campus. Even though we're 45 minutes away, you can do everything online. All our level 1 classes are available there. If you want to come to campus, that's great, but most of our students do online classes. Our application, if you're interested, I don't have a deadline. We just like to have that in before the end of the school year, so I can get with Ms. Franz and get your transcript and get all the paperwork completed. So if you guys have any questions, I'm around tonight, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So we
All right,
got just a little bit more here.
I have one thing to add. I'm the director of undergraduate admissions, and I forgot to tell you all, you do have to apply from the University of Findlay. Isn't that great? But we have our applications. We have a couple different dates to remember. If you're gonna take a summer class with us, which is just like the other school, we have a number of online courses, so if you wanted to take those, you'd have to apply by April 1st. If you are going to take the in-house classes here, you have to have everything done by June the 1st, right? And then, of course, you have to have your AccuPlacer or ACT scores in place and your GPA. We need to have full transcripts from you. And then we get you admitted and take you through the process. Ours is very similar to what she spoke of as well. So I forgot to say apply, because that's important, right?
It is, it is, somehow.
Right, sometimes, yeah.
Okay, so I've given you several papers here. The first one includes the pink, and what I did is a checklist. And I did this because we have students that do Northwest classes, we have students that do Finley classes, and there are different requirements for both of them. So it starts off, if your child has already taken the AccuPlacer and applied at Northwest at some point in time in high school or junior high, they are a Northwest student. So all they have to do at that point is fill out the pink paper. And if there is any test that they need to retake, they need to come talk to me so that we can get you on the schedule for when Northwest comes. The next one is if your child has never applied for College Credit Plus to Northwest, never taken the AccuPlacer, they're a brand new student. So these are the steps here. The key is, in all of these, this pink paper. If I don't have this pink paper in my office by April 1st, students cannot take College Credit Plus the following school year. That is not something that Wayne Trace has decided. That is one of the regulations of College Credit Plus. The only time we will make an exception is if something tragic has happened. The student's in the hospital, long-term, and they're not at school. If you are sick on April 1st and you didn't bring it in, we will not take it on April 2nd, okay? So that's what they talked about, getting that in right away. That is very important to do. We will only make exception in extreme cases, okay? Gone for a long period of time. So each of these are by steps. So if you want to take a class, then this goes through the Northwest step. On the back, it goes through the step for Finley, through that college algebra or that calculus. It goes through each of those steps. So I have it laid out here so that it's a little bit easier to understand, because sometimes it does get hard to maneuver all of it. So I made that checklist. The other thing that I gave you is one that looks like a chart, and it has some highlights, new and old. This is something that I gave a couple years ago because College Credit Plus came into effect a while ago, but then they made some changes. So if you had students who went through it before, there are some changes. And one of those is that if you fail a class, you have to pay. If you withdraw after a certain date, the cost has gone up. You have to pay that cost. The other big one, we had students who didn't do very well in class, like maybe they took a comp class and it just didn't go very well. So in the old rule, they could retake it and follow whatever the college required, whatever the college rule was. And most colleges allow you to take it a second time, and then they transcribe that class through your GPA, that second class. You can no longer do that with College Credit Plus. If you do not do well in a class, if you get a D or you fail it, like she had put on one of the screens, you cannot retake that class through College Credit Plus. That was a big change. So I will keep this for a couple years, just because I know we've had people go through before in the dual credit, the post-secondary, and then that first couple years of College Credit Plus. The next one is just a quick information. What is College Credit Plus? Answer some questions, kind of the question and answer section in here. One thing I want to emphasize is there is a limit. There is a limit to College Credit Plus every year. You are only allowed to take 30 credits a year. College Credit Plus runs from June 1st to May 31st. So, if you are taking a composition class, that's 3 hours, there's 3 hours. If you're taking calculus, that's 4 hours. If then you are taking high school art, which is 1 high school credit, you have to multiply that times 3. So every high school credit is multiplied times 3. When we're figuring out how that 30 hours fits in, high school classes would count as 3. Multiply it times 3. So the caution for the summer is that you can only fit 30 hours in from June to the end of May. So in order to be eligible for sports, you have to be in 5 credits. You have to meet that Ohio High School Athletic Association requirement to be eligible. Even if you hit 30 hours, if you hit 27 hours by December because you did a load in the summer and you did that first semester, we can't even let you take an art class. You can only take that 30 hours, or you have to pay for the class. You would have to go back and pay for those classes that took you over the 30 hours, okay? So I just want everybody to know that. Most of our kids are fine. We do have some kids that get close. I mean, we're sketching out each semester what they're going to take and what that is, and so that they can get it in. So there is a limit to the amount of college credit plus classes you can take. Summer is usually where things get a little tricky because when you start adding all that in, plus the high school classes that they want to take, those hours add up pretty fast. The other papers I gave you were specific to Northwest. These are the papers she was talking about that are in the packet. I just made a copy so everybody had it. This is the consent form. On that checklist, I gave you the address that you have to fill out, the application piece. And then this is the course selection sheet that you would need to take that college algebra or calculus class. I wrote those numbers down at the bottom because they're going to ask you to fill in what class you're taking. So those are the 2 that we have. If they approve that trigonometry, then we can add that in the fall. We can always add that on for the kids to go into that trig class. Students are required to do both, just because I don't think I said that. If you're in that advanced math for next year and you take the college algebra for college credit, we as Wayne Trace are going to require you to do the trig to follow it because that's our advanced math. That whole year is our curriculum for advanced math in order to take calculus. You have to have that whole piece to it. So that is a requirement to do both of those. What I've seen over the years, our students have been successful with College Credit Plus. It has been a very good thing for a lot of our students. They've been able to graduate maybe a year, most of them about a semester earlier from college compared to their counterparts. The advantage of calculus, like what Mr. Romley said, sometimes when you're going into something very, very specific, like a math or a science, sometimes they want their own calculus. They want calculus for biochemistry. And so they won't take that calculus class, but we have had several students come back who have taken that, who have said, even though they didn't get credit for it, they were in that calc class and they were head and shoulders above the other kids in that class. And at that point, you're paying thousands of dollars for it. So it's good to be head and shoulders above that. So that's definitely an advantage of the calculus, and it is really nice that we have that with a teacher, like I said, that you can go talk to every day. Some of the things that our students go through that cause College Credit Plus maybe to not be very good or to be stressful is probably the technology piece. Because the majority of our students take classes online through Northwest because we're too far to, like, you can't run across the street and take a class and then come back and finish your day. 99% of our students take them online, take our Northwest online. 90%, 95% of those kids don't have any trouble. Sometimes they do because of the technology piece. We have had students close their computer, they hit the submit button and close their computer before it says that it's submitted, so their paper never got submitted. We have students who, it happens. And when you wait to the last minute, or it's at the very end, or you don't go back and look, then you get a 0. Sometimes The college professors, since it's all online, even in class, everything is electronic now. So you're submitting, one class maybe uses Blackboard, and one class maybe uses Google, and Northwest maybe uses Sakai. So you really have to read what the teachers want you to do. What is their requirement? You really have to read that syllabus to show where their homework assignments are, where their quizzes are, where you have to download your paper, what your forum is, because you know, since it's online, a lot of them have like the forum where they have to talk back and forth about a certain topic. So you have to go in and make sure that you read those directions specifically. And sometimes our kids don't do that. Not ours, all, any. It just happens. That's an easy thing to do. The bad thing is like the teacher, the professor cannot contact me and they cannot contact you. They contact the student through email. Sometimes they don't read that, or sometimes they don't read it very often. Now, I know Northwest has in place now, if a student is failing or doing poorly, they can contact the advisor, and the advisor can contact me. At that point, will talk to the student. I don't usually contact the parent until it's something dire where I want them to be aware, because it's $500 if they don't pass the class. But, you know, they are not allowed to contact parents. So that's usually where our kids run into trouble. But for the most part, our kids do very well. Northwest State does a nice job of keeping the classes smaller. They're used to working at a little bit slower pace than maybe a four-year college, because they're set up that way as part of being a community college. Credits transfer easily from in-state to in-state. Once we start doing from state school to state school, when we do private schools or go out of state, it is up to them. It's their choice if they want to accept those college credits or not. Ann Feather usually does not come and do advising. I usually do that, and then if I have questions, I ask Ann. I try to get kids the basics. You know, get those gen ed classes that fit. Sometimes you have to do some research. I do not know every gen ed course that's required for every college in the state of Ohio. I know a lot, but I don't know that much. So I'll help them look at, or I'll tell them, hey, you need to go on and you need to look at, you've got it narrowed down to 3, you take a look at those 3, let's see what fits. And I'm glad to do that, to help them do that, so that they get the most bang for their buck. You know, like every college pretty much wants general psychology. It's an easy transfer course. It's one that no matter where they're going to go, those are the kind of classes that we try to get them to take. And the kids are real good at searching for that as well. Anyway, so that's Wayne Trace pieces in that shell. Now, are there any questions after we kind of do all that info? Anytime, you're welcome to email me, give me a call. I'll be glad to help. Just as any of these people here, they would be more than willing to help you figure maneuver CCP. No, but the key is that pink paper. Also, please note the Northwest State. If you're new to Northwest, that pink paper has to be in by, I think it's March, right around March 6th, because they're coming in March to do the AccuPlacer. And in order to take the AccuPlacer here, they have to have everything done. So if you take a look at Northwest, make sure you are looking at those dates, because they're coming, I got it, it's on the checklist here. They are coming, if you want to participate, everything needs to be done by March 6th. You need to apply, the pink paper needs to be turned in to me, the consent form needs to be given to me. Then that gives me 2 days to get all of the transcripts so that we can get that all to Ann Feather. And then on March 18th, they will be here to give the AccuPlacer at Wayne Trace. So in order to take it at Wayne Trace, you have to meet those deadlines. Otherwise, they don't have the N number. Yes?
I have a good question. And maybe it says in here, I just didn't catch it. The AccuPlacer, is that different by school? Like, if they wanted to take like comp through Northwest State and maybe Jack's Math, do they take two different ones, like one with Finley and one with
That-
Northwest?
That's a good question. So what'll happen is, if a student has taken the, at the AccuPlacer through Northwest, one piece for Finley is that they have to meet that reading score, and they will accept the scores from Northwest. So if they met that already through Northwest, I can pass those reading scores on to them, and they will accept it. The math, they will have to take.
I was gonna say, we have a separate, we don't
Yeah.
actually use AccuPlacer's math.
Okay, okay.
So we use a different tool, it's called MapleSoft, I believe, and when Rebecca's coming in April, I believe that's one of the things
Yeah.
she'll be testing you for, is that specific math.
So if they're not interested in Northwest and just Finley, they would then have to take both the reading and the math. If they're interested in one of the math classes through Finley, they do have to take that Finley math.
Okay.
It is different than Northwest.
But many of us will also accept an ACT, just FYI.
Right, right. And we won't have those ACT scores. The juniors will take it February 25th. I won't have those until April, maybe. So that's kind of where so we always ask kids to take that. If they don't meet that math score and then we get the ACT and they do meet it through that way, they will accept it then. So you can plan forward, you just can't go back. So you can prepare to take it, and that's why we do the AccuPlacer, we do all the testing. If they don't make that, and then they make the ACT, we can give them the ACT score. But what I stress to the students, especially in Algebra 2, is that if you get in August 28th and you're like, why am I not taking this class for College Credit Plus? You can't go back. If I don't have this paper by April 1st, you can't take College Credit Plus class. So you gotta prepare to do it. You can always not do it. We have students do that every year. They're all ready to go, and they're like, I have got a tough schedule. I do not want to do this, and they choose not to, and that's fine. That's fine as well. So. Any other questions? Anything else? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let me know if you have any questions.